So tell us what happened, Dennis.
All right. Well, here it is in PZ Myers' own words.
Good, because those are the best ones.
Yes.
He should rule the world.
There is a rich, deep kind of irony that must be shared. I'm blogging this from the Apple Store in the Mall of America because I'm too amused to want to wait until I get back to my hotel room. I went to attend a screening of the creationist propaganda movie Expelled a few minutes ago. Well, I tried, but I was expelled. It was kind of weird. I was standing in line, hadn't even gotten to the point where I had to sign in and show ID, and a policeman pulled me out of the line and told me I could not go in. I asked why, of course, and he said that a producer of the film had specifically instructed him that I was not to be allowed to attend. The officer also told me that if I tried to go in, I would be arrested. I assured him that I wasn't going to cause any trouble. I went back to my family and talked to them for a while, and then the officer came back with a theater manager, and I was told that not only wasn't I allowed in, but I had to leave the premises immediately, like right that instant. I complied. I'm still laughing, though. You don't know how hilarious this is. Not only is it the extreme hypocrisy of being expelled from their Expelled movie, but there's another layer of amusement, deep belly laugh funny. Yeah, I'd be rolling around on the floor right now if I weren't so dang dignified. You see, well, have you ever heard of a sabot? It's kind of a sleeve or lightweight carrier used to surround a piece of munitions fired from a gun. It isn't the actual load intended to strike the target, but may even be discarded as it leaves the barrel. I'm kind of a sabot right now. They singled me out and evicted me, but they didn't notice my guest. They let him go in, escorted by my wife and daughter. I guess they didn't recognize him. My guest was Richard Dawkins. He's in the theater right now, watching their movie. Tell me, are you laughing as hard as I am?
Yes, we are.
Add to this
I'm in
the
your
fact
base
that
watching your movies.
Add to this the fact that PZ Myers, along with Richard Dawkins, are featured in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
And even thanked in the end credits.
Yeah.
I go, wow.
So I've read, 8 different accounts of what went down. There was some Christian who claimed to be standing behind him who was saying that he was... First he said he caused a disruption, was asked to leave. And then 2 paragraphs later he says, well, he really didn't cause any kind of disruption. It was just clear that he was uninvited and didn't have a ticket. Well, guess what? So was the kid who was telling you that story, because nobody was invited and nobody had a ticket.
Tickets.
You went on a website, you put in your name, you registered, it sent you a confirmation email, and the confirmation email says, tickets not required. You showed up at the theater, and as long as your name was on the list, they let you in. PZ Myers signed in under his own name with guests, got the confirmation, followed the same process that everybody there is. And by the way, his guests were his wife, his daughter's boyfriend, Richard Dawkins, and some people from the Richard Dawkins Foundation. And the producer was there and either recognized him or saw his name and went over and pulled him out. That's it. He was exactly the same as everybody else there.
I imagine they were ready for him since they were in Minnesota on his home turf.
Yeah.
But they weren't expecting bloody Richard Dawkins.
See, the thing is, they specifically scheduled a showing of this movie in Minneapolis during the Atheist Alliance International Conference.
Well, did they know that? I mean, were they thinking about that?
Probably.
I don't know.
They may deny it, and I'll call them full of shit. Because my justification for that is they've been full of shit on this movie since the fucking beginning. Yeah. Where they went around to Richard Dawkins, PZ Myers, and Eugenie Scott and told them that they were doing a fair and balanced look at the creationism issue for a movie called Crossroads. And these interviews took place in April 2007. And so when asked about this, hey, what happened to Crossroads? Well, that was a working title, and we decided on Expelled. The thing is, they had already registered the domain Expelled the movie 2 months before those interviews took place, and not registered Crossroads at all, anywhere, ever. They lied.
They're a bunch of lying sleazebags.
And the cool thing is that the one clip that I've seen from the movie, which is PZ Myers actually talking about this, I think it comes off brilliant and correct.
Yeah.
Boom.
But then you splice in some photos of Nazis after him.
Yeah.
And there you got a message.
So number one,
puts a wet blanket on the proceedings.
They lied to the people, the evolution supporters, to get them into the movie.
To get the
everybody
who's
who's not insane Christian anti-evolutionist has said this movie is just utter crap.
Yeah,
right. Even
boring.
Even this kid who wrote this thing
tedious.
about Myers had a spoiler down at the end of his thing. He's like, if you want to know what the movie's, what the key element of the movie is, you can highlight this to see the spoiler. And I don't have his words in front of me. I should have. But basically, he's saying the crux of the movie is that evolution leads to atheism, leads to Nazism, leads to the Holocaust.
Right.
That's the crux of the movie.
Right.
And
great.
Okay, I don't even need to go into that. And I saw some of the footage where they're like zooming in on Dawkins' nose while he's talking. I mean, it says you're doing a sit-down interview,
right, with
an eminent biologist.
Weird.
And you've got this kind of almost shaky cam zooming in. Let's see what's up Dawkins' nose thing. And even Scotcha mentioned it on her thing.
Yeah.
I saw the clip. So they show the movie. Dawkins and all these other people get in, and when the movie's over, Mathis stands up to take Q&A.
Uh-huh.
And Dawkins, I wish I would have been there.
Oh, I would have loved it.
What a!
He stands up from the center of the theater, and Mathis is standing down there at the front, and he says, "I'm Richard Dawkins." And I would have loved to see the look on Mathis's face at that point. And the first question he asked was, why, in a movie about free speech and open discussions in academia, do you expel my colleague, PZ Myers, from seeing this movie, a movie, by the way, which he's in and thanked for in the credits? Mathis has changed what his answer is a number of different times. If you go, if you read this Christian's response, it's one thing. If you read two other blog posts, it's something else. If you read the New York Times, who are now covering this, holy crap, the New York fucking Times is covering this.
I imagine his actual answer at the time was something like the
Times article was actually great. Because the Fringula post, that's going to be amusing to atheists, but no one else is going to take it very seriously. Just if nothing else, just because of the tone and the source, they're going to expect a lot of bias. But New York Times did a great piece where they do let both sides have their bit to say, and because they do that, there's a very clear, decisive winner.
Yeah, these guys are liars, and I don't just mean the producers of Expelled.
They're incompetent.
I mean the producers of Expelled, the intelligent design movement in general, Dembski, Behe, every fucking one of them down the line. It's dishonesty, it's misrepresentation, it's censorship.
It's contemptible.
I know too many people, including some of our listeners who have emailed, who've been expelled from Dembski's blog.
Plenty of that.
No intelligence allowed.
If you want to draw a line from a religious or philosophical position to Nazism, you can't get there from atheism, but you evidently can get there from both Christianity, as Hitler was Catholic, and from in the intelligent design movement, as Dembski is the most Nazi-esque fucking admin of any blog thing I've ever seen. Even Ray Comfort lets more dissenting views into his blog.
I had a long argument with some guy within a comments thread on Ray Comfort's blog. No problems there.
Wow.
I'll give him credit for that.
These creationist asshats have just, I mean,